Hey guys, I'm Liz Rasnick. I chose to do my intervention project using trauma-focused cognitive behavioral theory. I'm doing my field placement for advanced standing with Child Protect of Mercer County. It is the Child Advocacy Center for Mercer County. Something that I've always wanted to get into with social work is working with kids specifically. I work at the Behavioral Health Pavilion now, and we are an 18 and older facility. And what I have learned over the last year is that children social work is definitely where I want to be. I'm not as passionate about the adult side of things. We have a therapist at Child Protect who deals strictly with TFCBT, and we see some of the worst of the worst. As with all child advocacy centers across the state and across the nation, in child abuse and neglect and all sorts of things. And TFCBT has proven so effective with our clients. And Twyla is awesome at what she does. We call her the grandmother of the group, and she is just wonderful with the kids and the clients that she has. And I've gotten to talk to some of her clients after the sessions and get to talk to Twyla as well each day. And she really has a passion for what she does. And so when this project came up, I knew immediately what I wanted to do with that. Plus, I had an awesome resource to use. The beginnings of TFCBT actually came out of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. It made everyone realize, trauma is real, and it's something that we need to focus on. And so the 9/11 attacks were really what spurred the movement on, and especially with children, it allows them to process through different things associated with PTSD, some behavioral disturbances, and different things like that. As I mentioned, I'm with Child Protect for my field placement, and we see sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse. We see it all. And the mistreatment of children, West Virginia has some of the higher rates of that. And that is most definitely a form of trauma. Depending on a kid and their age and their experiences, neglect of being left at home for a few hours can be most definitely traumatizing. And so with the TFCBT, it doesn't narrow down the type of trauma. It allows the therapist to work with any type of trauma, especially with kids. The theory involves treatment sessions with the individual client, whether it's a kid or an adult, and it also involves working with family and with the hope that the family can work together towards a goal and towards the treatment solutions, instead of just the family waiting in the waiting room, or dad dropping off the kid at the door and just picking them up when they're done. It's important that each party understand what the point of the treatment is, which is to work through the trauma and the consequences of it, whether they're good or bad. When the family is involved, it allows everyone to take their feelings about the trauma and the consequences and work together instead of separately. Sometimes hearing, that your kid is feeling a certain way kind of opens your eyes to see maybe they're feeling different than what I thought they were. And when the kid may know that you're struggling with it too, that's also something that can be really inspiring to them and help them know that the way they're feeling is okay. Some of the training that's involved with TFCBT, a lot of it is actually done online. Online programs are becoming big everywhere. Obviously, we're in a online Masters of Social Work program, and TFCBT is no different. The online trainings allow people to learn at their own pace. It allows them to go back and review curriculums as needed, and they're also more cost efficient. It's not involving travel. It's not involving conference fees or anything like that. And especially in areas like rural Appalachia, especially here in Mercer County, there's not a lot of options as far as trainings. And so by offering the online courses, we are able to train more people in less time, less effort, and more cost efficiently. I mentioned earlier, TFCBT is extremely effective with our clients at Child Protect, and it's actually been proven to be the best practice when it comes to trauma, especially with children. There's no set number of sessions that are involved with TFCBT. It mostly depends, as with pretty much any type of therapy, mostly depends on the client, the situation, the environment that they live in, all sorts of different things. The cool thing about TFCBT is that it can be applied in any setting. It can be applied in an individual setting. We talked earlier about how the family can get involved, but it can also be applied in a group setting. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the different ways that it can be done in each setting. And first, we'll talk a little bit more about the individual basis. Since there's no set strict guidelines for TFCBT, each client requires something different. Even if we apply the same therapy or the same theory to everyone, then it's still going to be vastly different. I have a little sister who looks just like me. She's just shorter. We have very different personalities. We grew up in the same environment. We grew up in the same home. We grew up, going to the same churches, but we need vastly different things. And that's true for every single client, every single situation. Therapists work with the clients to maintain achievable goals in their own setting. We can't go in and just tell clients that we want them to be happy. Happiness is relative. My happiness is not the same as my little sister's happiness, not the same as your happiness. And so, as with any therapy, but especially with TFCBT, we have to help the clients judge what is the best possible outcome for you right now. If we say, where do you want to be in 3 months? What do you want your life to look like? Do you want, less flashbacks to this trauma? Do you want less, public mental breakdowns? Whatever it may be. We want to help the clients set achievable goals and help them work towards those and deal with the setbacks that may happen. Some clients take longer to adapt to goals or to treatments or anything like that. They take longer for different reasons, whether it's the environment or just even their personal body chemistry. And so it's important to understand, especially with TFCBT, the level of exposure that a client may have experienced with the trauma. That can play a different role. The speed or lack thereof is not necessarily a success or a failure. With trauma, you never know how it's going to affect someone. And so with this trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, it's important to remember that we still have to put ourselves in the client's shoes, but they experience the trauma. And so just because we want them to succeed in a certain amount of time, that may not always be possible for them. Families, as we mentioned, they can definitely benefit from TFCBT. All family members need to be invested. My parents divorced when I was little, and I remember a lot of it, and my sister doesn't. And so in situations like that, understanding how I feel about the divorce, just as a personal example, understanding how I feel about it and understanding how my sister feels about it, and how my mom and stepdad and my dad and my stepmom now, when all of us get on the same page and work together, let's say that my little sister is the client, then when all of us come together and realize we all may have similar or different feelings about it, but putting those feelings out there can make a big difference. Say that a family member, is lost in an accident, then the family can come together and deal with that trauma of losing that family member in whatever way. And understand that mom may feel one way, Dad may feel another way. You know, cousin may think that this is just ridiculous, but everyone needs to be invested. And so that's the most important part when it comes to families, because families don't always get along. And so it's important for the family to come together and to all be invested, whether for the betterment of the one client or for the family as a whole. We mentioned that TFCBT developed out of the 9/11 attacks. Obviously, that affected a large group of people in our country and beyond. And that is kind of just one major example of how this therapy can be applied in a group setting. To simplify it a little bit, imagine a school shooting. And in a school shooting, let's say for the Virginia Tech attacks, when the shooting happened back a few years ago, there was one main building where most of the shooting took place. Obviously not the entire campus of however many thousands of students could be in that one building at that one time. And so if we took just that section, just that group of students that was in that building, then we can apply it to a group setting. Or maybe even, simplify it down to, say, an elementary school where there's only one classroom where this happens. And we take just that group, and we can, utilize individual therapy as well and family therapy as well. But when we take the group who all experienced this one trauma together, we can see that although everyone experienced the same trauma at the same time, maybe not everyone has the same feelings about it. Not everyone's thoughts are the same. Maybe not everyone experienced it the same way. Maybe the person beside them got shot, but no one around this other person did. And so by working together as a group, we can, number one, come up with the most true story of what happened in that trauma. Not everyone remembers everything the same way. And so by working together in this TFCBT setting, we can try to get a true story of what happened. We can also, again, like we mentioned with the family, help us to understand that it's okay to have these feelings. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be all of these things. And when you see someone else going through that, it also helps you through it as well. TFCBT, like I mentioned, is something that Child Protect is very happy to have. We love Twyla, and we think that she does an awesome job with it. And for our line of work, with all of the child abuse that we deal with every day, this has most definitely helped so many of our clients. And I loved getting to research it and getting to talk to Twyla about it, because it truly is one of the best ways to help clients, but particularly kids, work through all of the trauma that they unfortunately have to go through.